Hello! It's so good to see you. Come on in and take a seat. Who's calling? Oh, it's the world. I better pick up. Hello, world.
Hello, Mason.
How are you doing today?
I'm feeling fine. Thanks for asking.
Me and my friend here were a little confused about what you are.
Well, I'm a planet. That means I'm very large and circle around a star.
Like the sun?
Yeah. Like other planets, I have many different layers, which make up my body.
Layers? You mean like a cake?
Yeah. My outer layer is called the crust, like a pizza. That's because it's solid and sits on my liquid layers. The crust is the smallest of my layers, only 1% of my body, but the crust is the only part of me that humans can see.
Oh, so kind of like our skin, how it sits on our bones and muscles, but is actually really thin.
Yeah. My largest layer is called the mantle. It's made of molten rock and is thick like honey. The crust floats on top of the mantle and shifts around.
Oh, well, if the crust moves, why don't we see it?
You do, but it's very slow. The movement of the crust on the mantle is what causes mountains and islands to form.
Oh, I see.
My innermost layer is called the core. It's mostly solid due to the large pressures my gravity pulls on it with. It's my densest layer, and that means it weighs the most for the space it takes up. The core is super hot and is made of heavy metals.
That's so cool.
Absolutely. I also have a layer above the crust, too, but it isn't made of rock.
Well, then what's it made of?
Air and gas. It's called the atmosphere, and it's the layer that weather and the air you breathe are in.
Wow!
My layers are all stuck together because of my heavy core, and it's very difficult to pull them apart.
I bet. Thank you for sharing.
Goodbye. Have a great day.
Wow, that's really cool. I never imagined the Earth was so big. And the layers, too. It's like a cake. That makes me kind of hungry. I know! Let's make a snack. So, I call this the edible Earth Parfait. Like the world was showing us in that phone call that we just had, the Earth is made of many layers. So right here is our jelly jam. This is strawberry jelly, but grape would work just okay too. So we're going to put a spoonful of that in the bottom of our cup. Smooth it out. Yup. So now we've got our layer of molten core. Then we're going to take our big layer of our molten mantle, and we're going to add a couple spoons of that. And then going to smooth it out. This represents the larger, less solid form of the mantle. Yummy. We're representing this with our vanilla yogurt. And then, to represent our crust, we're going to crush up some graham crackers. Crush them, and then they go on top. brush them up. And this is our top layer. It's the solid layer of the Earth. And as you can see, it floats on top of the thicker but molten layers. And as you move it along, it can create holes into the mantle, which is a lot like how if you take a little bit of that mantle and you pull it out, then you get mantle onto your crust, your molten mantle in your crust. This is one of the many ways that volcanoes can form. This looks yummy. That was good. Speaking of volcanoes, that's a really interesting thing. I know. Let's look into a little bit more about how volcanoes work.
Volcanoes form when upper crust is pushed into the mantle and melts. This molten rock is much less dense than the rocks surrounding it, and so it is pushed up to the surface. It pools just below the surface as pressure builds up underneath it, until it finally pops and erupts lava all around. When it erupts, it spews pieces of dirt and ash that it has built up during its explosion. This ash and dust is formed in the mantle by the hot magma. When it comes out, it's often referred to as pyroclastic flow, due to the way that it flows down the sides of the volcano. Let's make a tabletop volcano. First, you're going to need to have a parent or guardian present, so that they can cut a quarter-sized hole in the top of a disposable cup. With the hole facing the top, use modeling clay or Play-Doh to create a volcano or mountain around the cup, building up to the hole at the very top. In a bowl, mix 1/4 cup of baking soda and 3 spoons of baking powder thoroughly, and then put this powder in the hole at the top of the cup. Mix 1/2 cup of vinegar with 2 drops of dish soap and add red or orange food coloring. Finally, pour this mixture into the hole, and kaboom! There goes the eruption.
Wow, that's really interesting, isn't it? It looks like it's about to rain, doesn't it? Rain is very interesting because just like the Earth, the sky has layers as well. We call it the atmosphere. And when water from our oceans and lakes and our ponds gets heated up by the sun, it goes up into the sky and it sits. And that's what makes our clouds. Now, when our clouds get too heavy and too full of water, the water starts to collect together. And when it gets heavy enough, it starts to fall down as rain. And when currents move up in the air, it pushes the wind around and the rain around. And if it pushes in just the right way, we get tornadoes and storms. There might be a storm coming now. It was so good to have you join this week. I hope to see you again next week. Thanks for coming.